So yesterday I did a silent live stream of this, and today I'm going to do a live stream that's not silent, I guess. Although it's not going to be super long, but and I won't be able to finish this whole thing, but yeah, I am doing that. It's not too different from a silent live stream because it's not like I have something really special to say. But if anyone's into watching something that's not silent, I guess this is probably better than the silent version. Maybe. Hopefully. Let's see. Right now I'm working on what I was working on yesterday, picture 138 in total. This is picture 34 in book 2 of Quercus Minora and the 8 elemental stones. It is the first series part of the Great Adventures of Angelica Cherryfur. I'm working on Angelica's belt, and let's see, almost done with the upper part of the belt. Now let's do a yellow. Bright, not bright enough. Yeah, this is going to take a while to get done with this picture because I haven't prepped it like I normally do, and I'm working kind of slower than I normally do. Working a lot closer in detail than I normally do. Although, actually, I don't know. Maybe not so much more than I normally do, but it feels like it. Let's see. There's a little bit down here that I can't really tell how I drew it. I'm guessing it's supposed to be the belt, but I think there's some missing lines because it got a little messy here. I'm just going to belt over here because that's where a belt should be. I drew this almost a year ago now, so getting back to working on it is interesting anyway. This was the only picture in the entire book that I did absolutely no preparation work on. I mean, I tried to make a line work version. What do we call it? I tried to make a version where the line work was blackened and all the white spaces were whitened and everything, so it'd be easier to work on. But it doesn't work quite as well as it should. So I ended up with a bunch of empty spaces that should have had line work in them, and then a bunch of places with little black dots all over the place. And it just didn't work out how I wanted it to. So I started on this one without any of that extra work to see how it went. And it's doing okay, it's just taking a long time, like I thought, because the other process I was doing was to reduce the amount of time it took. And it definitely was doing that for me. Also, this is turning out pretty nice so far. Add in a little bit of color in places that weren't drawn properly. I don't know if they're not drawn properly or they don't look like how I think they're supposed to look. should be the top of the scabbard somewhere near here, although it doesn't look like that. Maybe there's a problem in the drawing, or maybe there's just a problem with the way the computer is showing the drawing, because after I drew this, it did fade a bit, because this was drawn with a pencil, and I went on to draw 162 more pictures after that. So definitely lost something in there with the graphite fading and all that, but we'll see. So one of my friends, I didn't actually, I don't think I could read their name, just shared one of my posts, and that was really nice of them. So thank you anyone who's been sharing my posts. It's really helpful. Really appreciate it. I haven't really made very many sales, but for whoever has bought the book so far, I'm really thank you, and I really hope that you enjoy it. We'll see how it goes, because the book's been out for only a little while, but yeah, it's obviously gonna take a while for it to pick up, but we'll see how that goes anyway. I initially started out with the series thinking, well, book one is going to take a while to pick up, so I'll just have to wait until there's more books, but who knows, maybe if I'm lucky, people will start buying it before more books are available, but we'll see. It would be interesting and really nice. Where are we now? We're working on, let's see, cut the belt. Okay, the scabbard is now, we've got a little bit more of the scabbard that we got to color in here. And a little bit more over there. The scabbard should be colored with this. Yeah, I can do that. So I've done a few read alouds for the book that I've been putting up on Facebook. I've started on Instagram now with that, and I'm going on putting them on YouTube. So if anyone's interested in hearing the read alouds for the book, I'm starting a playlist for that up on YouTube. You can find it if you search TGAoAC. It'll probably show up first as the live streams, but then you can find the channel. I would give a better description of what the channel name was if I could get a URL, but I need 1,000 subscribers before I can get a URL, so I don't really know how to describe that right now. Definitely don't have 1,000 subscribers yet. Hopefully soon I will. Who knows? So here we go, and working a little bit more on the scabbard. Soon we'll be down here to a different place that's not the scabbard. Hey, Nagao-san. Konnichiwa. Let's see. So far, working on the part, almost done with that. There's a little bit more color variation here. Okay. And then going here. Color pens. I don't know if you call these pens, whatever they are. I could technically use the bucket tool, but I really haven't done that so far with this version of this picture. It's actually seemed interesting to paint on every little piece instead of bucketing it in and then painting on it. But yeah, using the bucket tool to fill in all of the areas and then painting over that was a really helpful time-wise, but it does kind of feel like you're taking a bunch of shortcuts too, because you don't go up to a canvas and start pouring buckets of paint onto the canvas. Or at least I don't think you do. I don't really have that much traditional painting expertise or experience, but pretty sure people walking up to their canvases with buckets of paint. I'll have to find out. Although I do know that there are methods of painting on the canvas where you kind of blotch in areas and work on them before you go into the fine details. You do all the roughing it in and stuff like that. But I think that's a little different than using the bucket tool on a computer. Let's see. Everyone who's watching, very recently, starting a couple months ago, I've started listening to a really wonderful podcast called Your Creative Push. It's by Mike Young, alias Youngman Brown. He listens to a lot of, he talks to a lot of artists and all sorts of different creative people, musicians, writers, bloggers, painters, people who do sketching, photographers, all sorts of people. And he has a lot of really good guests on his show, and it's really fun to listen to that. And it's very inspirational. So I would really recommend anyone who likes art, or well, basically I think anyone likes art. So I recommend it to pretty much everybody to listen to that. Especially if you're struggling with something or you want to hear more people talk about things that you like. It's really fun to listen to. It's really inspirational, and it's just awesome. So yeah, that's Your Creative Push. You can find it on YouTube, iTunes, Instagram. You can find their website. You can find them on Facebook. There's all sorts of places where you can find them. I don't know all of the outlets, but you can download their stuff in a lot of different places. Really love that. Anyway, I haven't had the time to sign up for any sort of online schooling yet, because, well, I don't have the money yet either, even though it's kind of cheap. I'm kind of broke, so yeah, that hasn't gone through well yet. But I am working on learning as much as I can. But the best way for me to learn so far has been, although learning with videos seems pretty good, so far learning through actually working on art and trying to make it better has been the fastest way to learn for me. So I am watching some videos and stuff and reading things, but most of the time I'm just painting, and it feels like I'm learning a lot more by painting than the other ways of learning. So at least for me so far, this is doing pretty well. Although I'm sure that there's a whole bunch of fundamentals I could definitely learn from if I went through some of those classes. So I'm looking forward to doing that sometime soon. Okay, let's see. I kind of want to work on the other characters as well, but I'm gonna finish up with Angelica before I start working on anybody else, because there's so many characters in this picture. It's just like, whoa, how am I gonna do that? No idea how I ever drew that with the intention of painting it, but then again, I hadn't painted any of the pictures before I finished all of the drawings. So my illustrations for the next continent are actually, they're getting tighter and more detailed. So I'm kind of nervous about starting to work on painting those too. But yeah, we're doing one step at a time, I guess. I originally intended Quercus Minora and the 8 Elemental Stones to be one book. So now that it's 3, I have more time to work on each of the paintings and make them look as nice as they can. And that's really nice. But I also feel like I have a whole ton more work to do because I'm working a lot harder on the paintings than I originally thought I could, which is nice and also kind of terrifying. I started out with the idea of making them as colored as I could in the time that I had, and then just doing all 300 paintings, and that was stressful to try to figure out how to do all that at once anyway. But like now that when I decided I wanted them to look a little better, and then a little better than that, and then even better than that, just the timescape just turned into, it was impossible to do it in one book. Although I'm hoping to do a collection version or a combined edition or something. But yeah, these taking a lot longer than I originally thought they would, because I'm working a lot deeper into each of the pictures, making them a lot better than they would have looked. So it's going to take a little longer for the books to come out than I originally thought, but they're going to look a lot better than I thought that they would be able to look. So that's nice. Let's see. Yeah. I'm sure some of my followers and friends have seen the old versions of the pictures. It's just Angelica was a monotone light pink somewhere in here, just like bleh. Yeah, that's how it looked. There's no fur detail, nothing. And the color was nice in a way. I mean, if you think Cherryfur, you think many different things, but in Japan, like here, cherry, they think of cherry blossoms more than they think of the actual fruit. So if you think cherry, one of the ideas that came to my head when I was thinking the color, maybe it would be like the cherry blossom color, but the idea cherry, when it's thought of in English, is more of a cherry red, and that looks feels to me it's a better squirrel color anyway. Although I have received several instances of feedback that say that I don't know how to draw a squirrel, or that the autonomy is crazy, and I understand that the squirrels do not have the same body shape as a normal squirrel, but that is because I intentionally shaped them differently from normal squirrels. They're more humanoid squirrels. Although some of the animals are still a little closer to the actual animal shapes. A lot of them are more humanoid than they would have been. One animal that, for the most part, has stayed around the right shape in the book so far is birds. Yeah, birds have been pretty birdy so far. They look like birds. There's a couple other animals that have showed up that still I don't remember. Like the raccoon that I drew he's a little bit more humanoid. but his face and everything, that looks a lot more like a real raccoon. Got some pictures here. Yeah, that rat there has shorter legs than these squirrels do, so it's a little bit more like a real rat, but it is standing up like a human would. It's going to be interesting to try to color all these people. Well, let's see. So, what do I have here? What is that supposed to be? That's really confusing me. I think I'm just going to color it in and pretend that it wasn't here, because whatever it was supposed to be doesn't look how I want it to. It doesn't make any sense here. Let's see. He's carrying her there. Yeah, it's definitely not anybody's hand. There shouldn't be anything all shiny sticking out there. So whatever that was, it isn't. There's some very strange shape that kind of worries me. Oh well. Like I said, I drew this. I think this one was drawn back in late June last year or early July 2019, I guess. Not 2019, 2017. Started working on these. I did all of the pencil and pen sketches before I started any of the work on the computer. I didn't even have a tablet yet then. I didn't even have a working computer when I started. I have one working computer that's kind of working, but it's really kind of falling apart. And I was 100% sure that if I started working on a big project like that, it's going to fall apart sometime through the project. So although it hasn't really fallen apart yet, I know that if I was doing something important with it, it would. That's how things are. If you do something important with something broken, it breaks more. Yeah. But that computer is really old. This one is not anywhere near as old. It's still kind of used, but I got it from family over here in Japan, so it's really helpful that I was able to get that after finishing all the illustrations on paper. Really good timing. My dad helped me get the tablet and a few of the other important things that we need for this, like software. Okay, I'm sure this doesn't look perfect, but oh well. I'll have to actually look at other illustrations to make sure that's how the scabbard looks in the other ones, because sometimes there are little inconsistencies in the shapes that I didn't pick up on when I was working on them before, and that I need to pick up on before I finish a drawing, a painting. There's I'm guessing this is the end of the scabbard here, although it's faded a little bit. It's a little looser than I would want it to be. Some of the drawings ended up really tight and stayed tight and didn't get messed up at all, and still some of these need a lot of rework. This one would need so much rework if I did the method that I was usually doing, just a whole bunch of missing lines and things that I need to write in, draw in with the pen here. And the Wacom pen is not as good for drawing as a real pen, so it's pretty hard to get those lines right with this pen. It's not as accurate. So here, I really like this acrylic 5 brush. There's a whole bunch of brushes, but this, somewhere it said a digital painter really only needs one brush, and I don't know, I don't think that's really true. I could really do with more brushes than I have here, make some of my own brushes and stuff like that, but it's almost true. Like I most of the time I use this acrylic 5 for most of the drawings, because it's a lot better than the default airbrush. Gives a lot more shape. It kind of really feels like I'm using a real paintbrush, but sometimes it does have limitations. I can't do some of the shapes that I want to do with it, so it's not perfect. Let's see. Still, it's a nice brush. Some of the other acrylic brushes here are pretty nice, but most of the other ones here are too light or too odd shaped. This one's almost exactly how I want it to be, so it seems to work out pretty well for me. I kind of like how the oil brush works here. I have the GIMP has some oil brushes. Let's see, where is it? Oils. Especially oil 1 brush. I like how it works sometimes, but it is really opaque. It comes out really strong. I could mess with the settings to see if I can lower that a little bit, but it paints a lot harder even with the airbrush. It feels like the airbrush for that is the paint tool for this, and the paint tool for that is the pencil tool for this. So using different brushes with different tools with different settings seems important, but resetting all the settings every time you work with a different brush is also kind of a pain. So I'm not going to fill with everything there. Scabbard is getting closer to being done. I'm not going to be sticking around for too long. Can't live stream all day because I don't have, well, I don't have my lifestyle set up like that, and can't be stuck in front of the computer the entire time either. But it's nice to be able to do this sometimes, share my work. Doing the silent live streams at nighttime is interesting. Although no one can hear me talk, be a good thing. Who knows? We'll see. Sometimes I get a lot more engagement. I think right now it's probably not the best time of the day. I don't really know what the best time of day is for this. Maybe I'll get more engagement afterwards when I'm done when I'm done recording this and I share it. Who knows? Really no idea how these algorithms, how marketing, how any of this stuff works. Just make as good of a book as I make and make it available and hope that everyone likes it as much as I do. Or more than I do, hopefully. If everyone liked my book more than I do, I would be so lucky. Or they would be so lucky. Who knows? Someone would be lucky. It would be nice. It'd be good to have books that people loved, because then they could enjoy reading them. And that's really the best thing about making books. I love this kind of series where, so far, There are obviously some plots and stuff, but it's not like one of those books where you start with this clear goal of vanquishing some foe, and then when you're done with that, everything's over. It's more like a big, like the series title goes, it's the Great Adventures of Angelica Cherryfur. There's just a whole bunch of adventures that she goes on, and I like exploring and adventuring places, and I kind of miss exploring. Although I do get to do some, I've always, since I was a kid, when I couldn't explore, I would find exploration in some kind of media, and being able to make my own media to exploring and for others to exploring is really something I wanted to do for a long time. So it's nice that I can finally do that. And one of my favorite games was EverQuest when I was younger. I haven't been able to play it for a long time now, but don't have the time. But it was fun to just explore in that game instead of doing the leveling up and all the other stuff that everyone else was doing. I was a level 17 ranger that would just go into really dangerous places and walk between the enemies, hoping that no one would see me, and I just explore all the regions in the game that I could reach. Sometimes I did get stuck in trying to get items and stuff like that, but or level up a little bit. But and I think the highest I ever got was level 40 in that game. A long time. Hey Mark, I'm almost done with this live stream, but hey, what's up? How you doing? Let's see. Smiley face on there. Oh, that's kind of weird. Wonder what happened to the shape. I'm guessing I messed up the shape there when I drew that, and I didn't fix it because actually one thing that happens is I erase it because it's wrong, and it still ends up on the paper and scanned in. I caught you. Ha ha ha. Yep. Thanks. Let's zoom out for a second. That's all I've got so far. There we go. And let's see. Nice little mark there. So, yeah, I'm working on this. Getting close to the end of this stream, but it's an interesting recording. Really not making very fast progress on this. So pretty soon I'm probably going to run out of new pictures to post on Instagram or anything like that. And I just going to have to get done with things for a while instead of worrying about sharing them so much. But yeah, I'm not going to give up, man. Get on my night. So this is taking quite a bit to get done with this, but it's definitely fun to work on, and it's going to keep progressing anyway as I work on it, obviously. So it's not going to be stuck there forever. Thanks. Whoa, my window is moving around. Okay, there we go. Right now I don't have a mouse connected because I only have 3 USB ports, and one of the USB ports is this microphone. And usually you're so jelly. Jelly. Is that a new term? We say jelly now instead of jealous or something. I don't even know what it means. That's cool. Jelly. So jelly. Maybe you ate a whole bunch of jelly. Who knows? I don't know these terms now. That's a very strange piece of confetti. Yes, this is confetti. I don't know why it's so three-dimensional. I just kind of this thing here is not confetti. Kind of hard for me to tell. You ate a whole bunch of jelly yesterday? Awesome. Although I don't know what kind of jelly you ate. It might not be so awesome. Who knows? We got Mark is a man who ate a bunch of jelly yesterday. Maybe, unless I misinterpreted things. That's cool though. Doing is doing. There is no other way to achieve. Yep, that's true. There's no way to achieve something without doing something. Definitely impossible. Let's write a book without putting our hands on the keyboard and without using any sort of pencil, paper, or typewriter or anything. Just write a book with by sitting on a couch. I'm sure it'll work out someday. Let's record a video without any tools. That would be fun. No phone, no camera, just popping up videos from a couch with no recording tools. I guess the closest to that would be the webcam, but that's still a recording tool. Let's see. So let's see. This is not perfect. It will never be perfect. That's too bad. But actually, that's wonderful. Not perfect means that it's art. But yeah. Yeah, let's see. Uh-oh. The colors are starting to look kind of funky. Let's see. I usually use the other method for painting these, so it feels kind of weird doing it this way, but we'll see. Oh. Hold on. So let's see. Perfectly perfect. Sorry, I just got up to grab a drink for my wife, and I'm almost going to be done with this today, but for not today, but with the live stream. But I just kind of want to finish a couple things before because I think yesterday I tuned out partway through working on something. Yeah, this is art from book 2 of Quercus Minora and the 8 Elemental Stones. Let's see. I'll bring up a couple of the other ones that I worked on recently. Here's the one before that. And then there's another one before that. And there's the one before that. Anyway, it'll take forever if I go through all of those pictures, opening them up. But That was all right. Thanks, man. I hope you like it. Sure to leave a review. Uh, now let's see. What we got? I've here with this is the end of the contest. Thanks. The contest of champions, where in the city of Kenilworth, Angelica joins the contest to try to win the Elderstein, which is the elemental stone of fire. And the elemental stone of fire is it's something that only becomes available whenever it's born from the flames of the volcano in northern area of Quercus Minora. And so it's pretty rare. I mean, there's some that she's encountered throughout the first book and the end of the at the beginning of the second book, but it's not something you can just walk around and find everywhere. So it's in the contest of champions, it's the prize for the victor. Whoever wins the contest gets the stone. So here in the well, you can see what's going on here, but she's won the contest. She battled several different foes and she came out on top. So that was cool. It'll be interesting to do a couple more of these, but yeah, there's 8 different stones in Quercus Minora that each represent a different element. She gets one of them in the first book, and she gets a few more in the second, and then there's some more in the third book that she needs to go and pick up, needs to go and find and earn. Well, each different stone is created in a different way, in a different place, and the method of obtaining them, each of them is different. So there's some interesting things that need to be done to obtain some of those. But one of her goals while she's in Quercus Minora is to get each of the stones. So that's basically the main quest plot for the first 3 books. It was originally going to be 1 book, but yeah, that's first 3 books are her adventures in Quercus Minora and getting the 8 elemental stones. Cool. That's nice. Thanks. So hopefully, this is the the 34th picture in book 2, and there's number 138. I'm planning on doing up to number 200 at least for book 2, and then having the next 100 for the for book 3. But I'm not sure if it's going to be in 100 or 96 like I was first thinking for book 2, or exactly how that's going to work out. But hoping that I'll be able to get these done at a good enough pace that we won't have to wait forever for book 2 to be out. because even if I finish all the books, I still all of the illustrations, I still have a bunch of writing and editing to do. I've done a little bit of writing for this book too, but for me, it seems like getting the illustrations always comes at a higher priority. Getting these done and getting these looking nice, it makes me feel more ready to write better anyway. To have like good illustrations to go with the writing. So let's see. There's one of legging thing. Don't know what they call these. And then yeah. After this part of the story, they do some things and then kind of leave Canalware, and they're going to head off to a different region where they can find another elemental stone. So it'll be fun to work on that region too, because that's a pretty fun region. And then the next place for the stone after that, that's also going to make it into book 2. That place is really going to be tough to paint, so that'll be fun to see. Yeah, I have a vision for how this is all going to work out. I mean, I don't have all of the illustrations done for the subsequent books, but I do have some of them done for the next continent, and I have some kind of side books, side stories for smaller books that I'm planning on putting between the 2 continents. Some short picture books with more children-oriented, shorter stories with less words. Maybe less complicated illustrations. I'm not sure if they're going to be less complicated or not, but having them less complicated would make sense time-wise anyway. I'll have to see. They might end up being more complicated, even though I plan on making them more simple. Who knows? I haven't actually worked on those yet. So, but side books will be fun. They will have different main characters that are related, but haven't shown up in the story yet. They show up in the very end of book 2 and are more touched upon in book 3, so that'll be fun. But yeah, this here in Quercus Minora, there Angelica and everyone else, pretty much the largest animal that they can find is like a little bit bigger than a rabbit. Here's a rabbit. Yeah, as much time as I need. Thanks. I hope it doesn't take forever because I have a whole bunch of books that I want to write. But yeah, it's there's a lot of things to make. Anyway, at this speed of working, it'll take quite a while to do everything. So I'm hoping that I can get faster, but also that I can stay accurate as much as possible. And not reduce quality or anything. So I'm working as fast as it could go without losing quality. So it's still going to take a long time. But yeah, when I first was doing this, yeah, it was just every single area just kind of looked like my my basic prep sketches with a little bit too dark shadows added to them, and that was about it. There weren't really too much textures or anything, especially in the later pictures, and there was a lot of sloppy painting out of lines and stuff like that I needed to rework when I was redoing the pictures. So I was really trying to do everything super fast, and everything got all messed up. So working fast and not taking my time was very detrimental when I did that on my initial attempt to paint all these illustrations. Definitely need to slow down and work harder on each little bit because, yeah.
yeah, definitely, man. Just resurrect your own work. Like I was talking about earlier on this live stream, there's this podcast called Your Creative Push. It's by a guy who's alias Young Man Brown. His name's Mike Young. He's actually friends with me on Facebook. He's makes this really wonderful podcast about creating stuff. So I definitely recommend that you listen to that and maybe get a little push to create your own stuff too. But yeah, I hope I can help inspire you too. Like you said, one thing, yeah, it was working on my own stuff and sharing it with everybody was something that that he also talked about on his podcast. Like, it's a good idea because it helps other artists kind of want to do what they want to do and all that. So that's a really cool thing. But I also get to share my work so that people get to see it more. If I'm just working on this by myself in my house with no live stream and not sharing anything, then this just exists only here. And if I share it everywhere, at least somebody's to look at it. So that's one really good bonus. But yeah, that podcast is just wonderful. I listened to tons of episodes of that. It's actually starting to get hard to find it for me on YouTube because every episode that I can find almost is already been played on my YouTube player. There's every once in a while I find a new one. So for a while there was a new one, several new ones that I could find every day, but it takes a while for me to scroll through my feed now to find a new one. So that's but that means that I've listened to a lot of inspirational stuff, and that's good too. He's still creating that, and it's still really wonderful, and I still really recommend listening to it and subscribing. That's a really fun resource. But yeah, Mark's your idea that you had that you told me about, that sounded like a really fun world to create. But I would definitely work on that. If you don't create your idea your way, no one will ever create it your way, and no one will ever get to see it. So it won't exist, even if something similar exists. So definitely got to make that if you want it to be, and you should want it to be. So yeah, you got to work on that, man. If anybody hears a recording of this later and is wondering who I'm talking to other than myself and whoever's listening later, right now I'm talking to my friend Mark on Facebook on live stream. So, but yeah, pretty soon I'm gonna get done with recording this because I have to get back to life. But I will keep painting this later even when I can't live stream. But so I'll show some more progress updates, and then I'll share the finished version of this piece on Facebook, and probably later anyway, on Instagram. Although I am running out of finished pieces to share on Instagram, so this might end up actually being shared just as soon as it gets done. Who knows? I'm really running out of those because there was a point when the work was running pretty smoothly with it was running pretty smoothly with simple outlines and everything, easy to draw, easy to do. I also had some other work to share from before, and slowly over time, sharing things pretty much daily on Instagram, I'm running out of work that's already done to share. So, and then I was working on Mermaid last month. It's still May in America, I think, today, but here in Japan, it's finally June. And I was planning on doing a 30-day challenge, but I realized I don't have the time to do the challenge that I was hoping on doing, because I wanted to do this month. I was hoping to do game fan art to kind of go with E3 and do a whole bunch of really cool game fan art and maybe get some exposure there and do some really nice artwork and stuff. But the project, yeah, it would take way too long. I was already pretty drained by doing the entire Mermaid project without, like, near the very end, most of the very final pieces, they were not really satisfactory to me. I wanted to make them a little better, but I didn't have the time to actually work on them. So, yeah, this month I don't think there will be any challenge. I might do some fan art because it is the month of E3, and it would be a good time to do some game art. But yeah, that's not going to make it the way that I was planning on making it anyway. I'm going to focus a little bit more on working on the Great Adventures of Angelica Cherryfur illustrations and on other things that I need to do in life. But yeah, also I have done, yeah, I think it was 2 pages of writing for the second book, but I was hoping maybe I'll get some time to do more pages of that this month, so that when I get done with all the illustrations, I don't have this big blank document to work with. Because that was, I had some work of previous versions to work with when I did the writing for book 1, but when I got done with all the illustrations, but I still had a lot of editing and other things I needed to do. So I don't want to make the time where I can only write and edit and I don't have time for illustration like I did last time, because then I'll have over a month of time when I don't have any work to share illustrations, any work to work on, no progress. That was kind of stressful, only writing and only editing. Although I like writing and editing, it was a balance. Trying to get both of those in is good instead of just one of them. Though for me, still, even right now, it's a lot easier to put time into illustrating, because it just I don't know about easier, but it makes more sense to me to put time into illustrating than it does into writing right now. It's more of my more of the craft that I wanted to work on anyway in the first place. Although I do want to write books, I'm more interested in the art side part of it. So it is hard to balance 2 things that I want to do, but I'm gonna have to slowly fit writing into my schedule, so I don't have to take illustration out of my schedule when I'm working on the writing. Yeah, so I don't think I'll be able to get everything done here before I turn off the live stream. So I'm just gonna, let's see what happens if I do a bucket fill. No, that doesn't look too well. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna fill in a couple more spots here, and then I'm gonna clock out for now. So anyway, let's see. I'm just about done with this stream for now. I might do another silent live stream tonight. I'm not really sure. But thanks for watching. And hope to have more things to share soon. This is going to go up on my YouTube channel, which has almost no views. So if anyone's interested in helping with that growing, go and check it out there. Yeah, thanks, Mark. It was awesome to have someone to talk to while I work on this, so that I'm not just talking to the mic for no apparent reason. And so that it was also really cool to talk to you because you're awesome. I was hoping to get a chance to talk to you sometime soon. Anyway, maybe we'll get more of that done. Speaking of talking to you, I didn't end up doing the workout that I was planning on doing today yet. I might do a little different of a workout later. I will do some shopping, which I'll need to do on my bike, so I'm going to get a bit of bike riding in to get there, because that's not right near here. But yeah, the diet that we were talking about working on is doing a lot better than it was last week, and I hope it does better this coming week and from there on anyway. Let's see, no, that's not what I wanted, was it? Let's see. But yeah. Alright. Link to YouTube. On my timeline in Facebook, there's some links for some of the videos. I'm gonna make sure that's true, but I think that's how it is, and I'm gonna check again. But I'll put a link to yeah. All right. Okay. As you can see, there's Angelica still has some straps that need to be put onto these leggings. She needs fur here. These bottom boots need to be done. Feet need to be done, and then we'll be done with Angelica. And oh no, we won't be. We have her whole tail to color here. But then after all that's done, there's a whole bunch of characters that we still need to paint. This will take a while to do, but yeah, I'll catch up with progress on this, and I'll keep posting. All right, thanks for watching. See you later.